Hi, my name is Kristin, and my intention with this video is to do it in one take and just to be super real and honest with you about why I quit drinking coffee and eliminated caffeine from my body. For me, it was coffee. It was just the routine of it. I just love getting up in the morning and the smell and then the warm cup and the cream and the sweetness, so much so that I would drink it on a total empty stomach. And here I was getting up at 4:44 in the morning, meditating, doing yoga, writing down all the things I appreciate, and then what's the first thing I put in my body? Coffee. And I would buy the very nice organic coffee. I even bought the really good clean organic creamer, but still something about that just didn't serve me anymore, because a few hours later I would get sort of like the shaky hands and like this sort of achy head, not like a full-on headache, but enough where it's like, oh, I want a second cup of coffee. And this is still before breakfast, and it's like, okay, I'll just have another cup of coffee because, well, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm a mom of two, and I could always justify it. I didn't get enough sleep, or how am I gonna get through the day with this kind of yucky headache? Well, coffee's better than just taking in some Tylenol, and it's like, stop, stop, stop. So it was March 12th of 2021 that I did not have a cup of coffee. And then March 13th and March 14th, and it just became this thing of like, okay, I'm actually not addicted to this. As much as I thought I was, I'm not. All of a sudden, my mornings just shifted, and I no longer had this like sort of guilt. I would feel guilty drinking coffee. Now, I'm not saying that you should quit. This is why I should quit, because if the first thing that you do in the morning makes you feel guilty, there must be something behind it. So then I started to do my own research, and what I found was that new studies are showing that caffeine, not particularly coffee, but obviously we all know coffee has caffeine. Caffeine will specifically speed up your cells, essentially making you age faster. And I had heard this a few different times. You know how you hear something once and you're like, oh, and then you hear it again and you're like, oh, there must be something to it. So again, do your own research like I did, and I just thought that it was really interesting because it makes sense. Coffee gives you this boost in energy. What other effects is it having on your body? And I had heard this the first time from Aaron Dowdy, and he seems to know his stuff, and he does. I found what he was referring to. He was referring to studies that are showing that the cell regeneration actually speeds up. So I am happy to go into further detail if you want to reach out to me on that. But then I also was going back and looking at other studies, still pretty current within the last 5 or 10 years, showing how caffeine, and this is specific to coffee, caffeine will increase your cortisol levels. And if you're unfamiliar, do your own research, but cortisol is directly linked to our stress hormones. And when our cortisol is increased, then we also tend to have other stressful detrimental effects. For example, cortisol is being linked to why we cling on to body fat. For women specifically, to belly fat. Well, and I've had 2 kids, and my belly is sort of the one area that still is holding on to some belly fat, and it still is. I should do some more cardio, and that's all fine, but I have noticed that it has definitely trimmed away. I'm not going to show you, that's not my thing. I'm not going to like give you a before and after. This is just giving you overall really positive reasons why, for me, caffeine coffee was no longer serving me. So besides the studies and the health physical benefits, again, I didn't like the idea of being addicted to something. I didn't like that I needed something, or that it was the reason to get out of bed, or the first thing I put in my body. So before March, I started making little changes. I was eating almonds and then drinking coffee. And then for a little while, I was eating almonds and like having a big cup of lemon water and then drinking coffee. And that's all fine, again, personal choice, but for me, I was still like, when do I get to the coffee? And it had this control over me. And on the weekend, the very first thing I would do besides play with my family and my kiddos was go make a cup of coffee, to the point where my daughters would come up and be like, ooh, that smells so good. Mama, can I have a sip of your coffee? Because let's be honest, my coffee was half creamer, you know, the hazelnut, the super sweet creamer. And yeah, I was buying the natural one, but yeah, when you really look at the ingredients, even if you go the almond milk route, well, especially that, it's full of a lot of additives and stuff. And I'm not vegan by any means, so very often my creamer was what I was sharing with my husband, and he just wants regular traditional coffee creamer. Just look at the ingredients. Just look at the ingredients. You can drink the cleanest coffee in the world, which we were. We were drinking this organic, Seattle's best. But like, go ahead and look at the ingredients of the creamer. It's fascinating. So again, do your own research. Figure out what works for you. And then a couple other things that I wanted to point out was the slight headache was kind of irritating, because I can say full on, that doesn't happen to me anymore. So, okay, my routine was I get up at 4:44 in the morning. I would go through my morning routine of meditation, yoga, journaling, things like that. And I would have a cup of coffee by like 5:30 in the morning, typically outside, and it'd start my day that way. And that's a great way to start your day. But then for me, come like 8 o'clock when I'm serving breakfast to my girls, I would have this sort of irritating headache. I thought it was my kids. Just their energy is so crazy, and they don't even drink coffee, and they're just like bouncing off the walls, and it's nuts. So I would get really irritated right away with them, right after they woke up. I can now link it to the fact that I was having a bit of a crash from the caffeine, withdrawal. So what I've noticed is, now that I've replaced my coffee with something else, that annoying little headache that would be like in the back of my head or in my temples is gone. It doesn't happen anymore. And I am such a better mother being with my kids between like 7:30 and 8 a.m. I no longer need that second cup of coffee. I no longer feel that sort of irritated feeling about like, kids. I want to feel differently around my girls. They just woke up. I want to feel good around them. And I don't want to have coffee breath. That's another point. So my daughter would come up to me, and like, I would try to go brush my teeth right away when she would wake up, because so many times she would be like, Mama, your breath stinks. And it's like, but I brushed my teeth, but I brushed them a few hours ago. And since then I've had coffee. And we all know when you get too close to like a friend or a coworker, you're like, oof, yeah. It's weird. Coffee is so delicious, but when you smell it on someone else's breath, it's like such a disgusting turn off. So that's another big one. I wanted to be able to snuggle and cuddle my girls and not have them, Anyways, so then one last point that I wanted to point out is that if you are looking to reduce your coffee intake and or reduce just your caffeine in general, if you're drinking green tea, do your own research. There's a lot of health benefits to coffee, a lot of health benefits to green tea. Watch out for your sources though. Look who's writing the article, please. I'm sure you know that already. But what I ended up replacing it with was something that Erin Dowdy recommended, and now I'm a huge fan of Organifi. No, I'm not sponsored by that. That would be really killer. I am seriously just a nobody making this video because I want other people to take more control of their life. Organifi is a mix of super healthy foods, and for me, I was just like, okay, I want to replace the coffee with something, because I know that in order to break a habit, you need to change the habit. And for me, I was like, how can I drink something cold in the morning? because this green juice you're supposed to serve on ice water. And that was an interesting shift, but I will say it has sort of like a minty flavor, so it kind of reminds me of brushing my teeth in the morning. So just if that resonates with you, go ahead and check it out. I highly recommend that. So that's what I would drink now outside at about 5:30, 6 in the morning, and continue my day exactly the same way, just not drinking coffee. And then a few hours later, when my girls wake up, not getting that yucky headache or that crash, or sometimes like I would get the shakes, especially after that second cup of coffee. So let's say I give in and I have a second cup of coffee at like 8 or 8:30. By 11, 12, when I'm starting to make lunch, my fingers would like kind of have these shakes. And it's probably because I also, instead of drinking water, I'm drinking coffee. It's crazy how much that stuff affects you, because it is a diuretic. And now I'm not going to the bathroom like 10 times in the morning. I don't know if that's too much information, but if you do drink coffee, you probably are running to the bathroom quite often in the morning, because it literally is pulling all of your water out of your body. Look up what diuretic is if you're not sure. Do your own research. But now I feel like I'm going to the bathroom a normal amount of time. I'm not running and like panicking. And if you've had kids, you know that sometimes that can be hard. And so why do that to myself? Why continuously like pull water out of my system and pee when I already have issues like, anyways, if that's again too much information, again, I'm not gonna edit this out. I'm just being real here. And if you never had kids, you could just forget that part. It's all good. All right, last, I wanted to just say thank you so much for hearing me out. I am here just as a human, just being real and honest with you and things that have helped me in my life. So perhaps this will help you as well. And comment below, please subscribe. Let me know what your journey is all about. I'm super interested to connect more online. I am finally accepting the fact that we are online and that social media can be extremely beneficial. You just have to make sure that you follow the right people. So good luck with your journey today, and thank you so much for being here with all of my love and light. Namaste. Hi again. One last thing I wanted to discuss was my necklace. It says inhale and exhale. And I made it myself, and it is stainless steel that has been gold plated, so it's super strong and hypoallergenic and very safe to wear, which is something I'm very concerned about. I don't want to put anything on my body that isn't correct and safe for me. I have an Etsy shop, and it's called ELLIE Stories. It was named after my firstborn Ellie. So Etsy, and then just search in the box ELLIE Stories. And if you would like to support me and you like more of these videos, that is a great way to support me by purchasing something from my Etsy shop. I will give you a promo code. It is THANKYOU10, and you can save 10% off. That promo code is not going anywhere. It's not going to expire, and there's no minimum order or anything, so feel free to use that at any time. And with that, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.